I'm giving you this. This is the Ric Flair.
Flair.
Woo! Okay, so the reason you get this trophy is this. Okay, how in the hell did you know that Ryan Blaney was going to win the championship this year? You become famous. You called it. So here's your trophy. I'm giving it through you. I'll send it to you. But what was your deal with? I know you love him, but what did you see early in the year?
Well, I'll be honest. I picked Ryan Blaney to win the championship because I think Ryan Blaney as a champion and successful in NASCAR is good for NASCAR. I didn't pick Ryan because I saw something on, in his performance. I just knew that a Ryan Blaney championship would be positive for us and he's so there's a lot here. I'll tell you this. So I remember me and Dave Blaney came in together in the Xfinity series. He had this really badass paint scheme, the 93 Amico car. It was
I remember it. He was fast.
Yeah, he was fast, kick-ass little race car, and really quiet, nice, mild-mannered guy. He was a father. He a family man. I wasn't, right? So we didn't become friends because we just weren't on the same page. But I thought the world of him, respected him immensely. And then I'm standing on the grid at Kansas for Ryan's first Cup start. We had all watched Ryan sort of piece together these little opportunities in the Xfinity series and eventually get a deal with Penske as a developmental driver and get opportunities driving this 22 car. And so we were all a witness to that and kind of pulling for him. Mainly pulling for him because of his daddy, right? You knew who his daddy was, and you're like, I liked his daddy, so I'm gonna pull for the kid. Yeah. And then you get to know Ryan, and it turns out, man, I mean, he's just salt of the earth. He's just as cool and as easy and as low, level as his dad. And so I sat there and talked to him on the start-finish line or on the grid for his first start. We qualified side by side. I probably qualified 23rd. And so
hey, that's Michael Jordan.
And so I was like, hey man, nobody cares where you finish. Don't worry about that. Go out there and run all the laps. Learn. If you wreck early, you're not learning. I was like, nobody expects anything out of you performance wise. All right. So you don't have to feel like you've got to measure up to a certain thing. Just go run the laps and have fun. This is going to be neat. It's going to be surprising and interesting to you, and just make sure you get everything you can out of it. And so I see him, I see him renting a house connected to my property. I used to own this piece of property and I sold it to Brad Keselowski. Well, he rents this house from Brad to live in it. And his neighbors, like earshot from my mother, who actually lived down the hill from me. So we're all neighbors. So him and his buddies, Bubba Wallace, and they're all running around on my property on four-wheelers and stuff. And
these young kids
being goofy. Yeah. And we became friends. After the race, I'd call him up and he might come over and sit in the basement bar and talk about the race weekend or whatever. And we just got to know each other really well. He wins his first race in the 21 car at Pocono, and I called him and I said, I'm bringing all the beer. Don't you worry about it. He said, my crew's coming over. I said, I'll handle all the beer. Don't worry about it. We'll be there and can't wait for you to get home. And so we ended up, I got a picture that I sent to Dave just the other day. We took on the back porch that night of the whole team, his whole crew and all of us, right? And all his friends, Bubba, Ricky Stenhouse, and a bunch of other people. And so long story short, I've just really always thought a lot of Blaney. The other thing that people may not entirely realize is that everything that anyone has ever asked Ryan to do that would promote the sport, he said yes to. Going out to the West Coast to do sitcoms, any interview. He started his, the Glass Holes podcast. All of those things were just, he didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't like somebody said, here's a briefcase full of money, do this. It was just, hey man, I'm getting, I want to promote myself. I want to help promote the sport. He's always really been active, which I admire a lot.
How would you like to use sort of this newfound platform to move the sport forward as champion?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm excited to have those opportunities. I really look forward to facing them head on, and I feel like as if you get the privilege to be a champion of your sport, it is part of your job to promote your sport and do the best you can to be the best champion that you can. So that's the responsibility. I'm be honest with you, I haven't really thought about yet. I think that's going to kind of dawn on me in the following days. But no, I think it's part of your job to kind of, hey, embrace it, push the sport. You have this awesome platform now to where you've done something incredible. Use that, right, and you promote the sport. So I'm excited to see what happens this offseason, see what comes up to where, you're not only growing yourself, you are growing the sport as well of NASCAR. Someone asked me earlier, the Netflix deal that's happening right now, I've worked with them a lot through the playoffs, and they've gotten a lot of inside stuff, and I think that's just another big thing of, promoting the sport in a positive way to a certain audience or a brand new audience.
I was doing a lot of things in my young career to promote the sport, but they weren't my ideas. They were, Budweiser and all these other people were pushing me in this direction. He has more foresight, vision, to understand how valuable that work is outside of the race car. And so I've always liked that. And so I thought, man, I want him to win a championship. I want him to be a champion. I want him to be a successful winner, year in and year out on our tour. I want that for him personally, but I also want it for our sport because it would be great for our sport to continue to develop superstars. He's a well-known name in our industry, but I want him to be well-known in the mainstream. And so that's just why I picked him. I said, man, I want him to win it. I hope he wins it. And there was part of me that saw a very similar sort of season that Joey had the year before. Joey wasn't lighting the world on fire. When we went to Phoenix and we're interviewing the final four drivers, the championship four at Phoenix, everybody was thinking that Joey wasn't in the mix, right? He wasn't really a threat to win that championship, but when they got done, he was the champion and won the race. And I thought to myself, man, if Blaney can get to Phoenix, why can't he win it? He could probably win it. Phoenix is a good track for him. It's great for Penske, but getting there was going to be the hard part. And there were some very, very close calls where he almost didn't get through. But, once he made it to Phoenix, man, the rest of the industry was like, oh, Blaney, he's the favorite. Blaney's the favorite. Look at Martinsville. Look at his stats at Phoenix. Blaney's the favorite. And he went out there, had the best car in practice, and then the race got the job done.